Jim Gaffigan is our guest. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me on your show.
You know, people tell me they're my biggest fan, and I'm just a little fella. So I won't tell you I'm your biggest fan, but I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, well, geez. Thank you very much.
I go into total fan mode. I actually have a show. We call it the Michael Berry Show. But what I do is I criticize Obama, and I criticize high taxes, and I criticize attacking countries where we wouldn't want to live. That's the Berry Doctrine. We shouldn't invade a country where we don't want to live. And then I talk about Portlandia because we have an affiliate in Portland. And then we talk about food, and then we just play Jim Gaffigan clips. And that's my show. And I make a good living doing that.
That's great.
Yeah.
I appreciate the support, that's for sure.
Do I owe you any royalties or anything if I play your clip? Because I play one clip that's over 2 minutes long. Is that cool?
That's totally fine. You're getting more, you're spreading the word. I appreciate it.
So you're going to be downtown tonight for 2 shows.
2 shows, yes. I'm right now. I'm on the bus driving from San Antonio, and if you hear screaming in the background, that's one of my many kids. I have 5 kids. I'm great. My own nationality.
Yeah, or your own basketball team. I love the tweet a couple of days ago with you and your ventriloquist your ventriloquist routine, and you had one of the littlest ones there. So they travel with you all the time.
Well, we try to I try to avoid being away from them for too long, and doing shows you can very easily be gone for a week, and so. This is my daughter's spring break. My oldest, she's in 3rd grade. This is her spring break. Some kids go to Florida. My daughter's sleeping on a bus.
Yeah, but she's sleeping on a bus and seeing the world, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. Jim Gaffigan is in Houston, 2 shows tonight. I think there may even still be some tickets left. You talk about bungling something. We got busy last week with being on the road, and I got a request to interview Jim Gaffigan from the show promoter. You don't know any of this stuff, but I'm telling our audience. And I thought it was a week later and didn't act on it, and I was very upset when I found out that it was this week, and then you're coming tonight, and I'm going to get to see you, but I was afraid I wouldn't get to talk to you because our listeners absolutely love you.
Oh, well, geez, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
I have to ask you because I have openly begged Portlandia to put me in an episode because we're on in Portland. How did that happen?
Well, that was I'd met Fred a couple times, and in the comedy world in New York, and I just got offered the role, and it was amazing. I mean, people always say that they worked on shows and it's an amazing experience, but it was pretty spectacular. They're like an amazing team there, Carrie and Fred, and we had a script, and they were like, no, let's just improvise it. And it's so fun. It's like you're literally just paid to play. Which is what it's all
when
about.
You were in a food truck.
I was in a food truck, and a guy who did stews, and it was just kind of weird and fun, and it's just the food trucks are big in Portland.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
But wherever there's food, I go.
Where is home for you?
I live in New York City, but I'm originally from Indiana.
Yeah, I know. I know because you do the Mexican food is all the same thing. Well, I'm going to tell you, Jim. Jim Gaffigan's our guest. Welcome to Texas, and it's not really Mexican food. It's Tex-Mex, and there's a writer named Rob Walsh who's written a book about the fact that the oldest extant or continuously existing regional food in America is Tex-Mex. And the most definable. And so what you call Mexican food when you say it's all the same in that bit you do, is actually Tex-Mex. And you are in the heart of it. Here and I know you were just in San Antonio yesterday.
Yes.
How was that? Where did you eat?
Mi
Tierra.
Amazing.
You were at Mi Tierra.
Yeah, we were at Mi Tierra. And, but I'm just eating so much because we started in the South. We started in Richmond and, went to Raleigh and Chattanooga and Birmingham, and I've had biscuits and gravy for like 5 days straight, and I haven't had a bowel movement in like 6 days.
Oh, my. Wow.
I mean, biscuits and gravy are just, I think it would be healthier to eat cement for breakfast, but I love it.
I think you're right. My wife is from India, and she says, this Southern food. We went on a tour last week of Baton Rouge, Birmingham, and Nashville, and she said, look, Jim, can you hold with us for just a moment?
Yeah.
All right, I'll be honest with y'all, folks. I don't get tongue-tied very often, but I'm a huge fan of Jim Gaffigan. The funniest man in America, and he never needs to cuss, and he mostly talks about food. How can you not love this guy? Jim Gaffigan is our guest, and all my buddies have texted me to say that I'm embarrassing me with my fan crush on Jim Gaffigan. I don't normally behave that way, but you have to understand, I've literally spent hours on end listening to this man's comedy over and over again because the delivery, the inside, I think I think technically speaking, he is the funniest man in America today. The technique that he uses, one of my favorite bits of his.
My favorite food is Mexican food. I used to be a waiter in a Mexican restaurant in Indiana, and that's where you go for Mexican. Mexican food's great, but it's essentially all the same ingredients, so you'd always have to, as a waiter, you'd have to deal with these stupid questions. People be like, what is nachos? Nachos? It's tortilla with cheese, meat, or vegetables. Oh, well then what is a burrito? Tortilla with cheese, meat, or vegetables.
But not if you're in Texas, sir. Jim Gaffigan is playing tonight. Before we talk about your shows tonight, you have a new book out, Dad is Fat.
Yeah, well, it's coming out in May.
Okay.
Coming out in May.
And you were telling me off air that your son wrote that line.
Yeah, see, it was the first, he was 4 or 5 learning to write, and you start with simple words, and his first complete sentence was, Dad is fat. So.
And these are, you were saying these are essays that you and your wife write about going out to dinner with the kids?
Yeah, it's just the whole parenting experience. My stand-up show is, I kind of make a point of making it appeal to everyone so that, if you're, a 20-year-old, you don't hear just about someone talking about their kids. So a lot of the kids' material that, I found that it worked on Twitter and then just decided to put it in this book. So.
And
some nice screaming in the background.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I think it's a cool thing that you take your kids on the road with you. You have 2 shows tonight. It's downtown at whatever used to be. Do you know what that's called now? It used to be the Verizon. I'll find out and post it.
Yeah, I think it's. I only remember it called the Verizon too.
I think they've changed the name, and I forget what it's called, but I'll find out and I'll post information.
Oh, you know what? It's the Bayou. Now.
Oh, the Bayou. Yes, indeed.
Bayou.
Yes, indeed. Now is this stuff that comes out of Dad is Fat? What's the routine tonight? What kind of? I mean, obviously you're going to talk food, I hope.
Yeah, there's definitely some food stuff. But gosh, tonight there's a lot of different stuff. I mean, some of it is just just eating. I mean, I try and not talk about eating, but it just keeps going back to that. But a lot of silly observational stuff and chaos. I'm a lazy man, so I romanticize laziness.
Well, yes, you do. I mean, you make me proud to be lazy. Do you? Jim Gaffigan is our guest. And then I guess from tonight you're off to Dallas, and then where?
Dallas, and then Tulsa, and Oklahoma City, and Wichita, and Paducah, and Evansville. Little Rock's in there, too. And
no wonder you like on the road again.
Yeah.
And do people bring you food when you're on tour because they know you love food?
Sometimes, my joke is always like, this is filled with poison, right? But there's a lot of, I sign Hot Pocket boxes and sign some bacon and stuff like that. But it's, some of it is just fun on Twitter, like if I talk about McDonald's or if I talk about biscuits and gravy after the show, people will be like, I'm eating biscuits and gravy around that Waffle House, stuff like that.
What's the weirdest thing that anyone's ever brought you?
Jeez. I've gotten a bowling pin that had my head painted on it. I've gotten a wood carving of my head, which is, it's pretty easy to draw my head because it's kind of round. So, I would say, I don't know. It's just, people have had me sign Bibles. It's just like, I'm going to hell if I sign this Bible.
Yeah,
it's like, it's kind of funny.
One of the cool, Jim Gaffigan is our guest. One of the neatest things about Twitter is it cuts out the layers between you and your fan, and we get to hear from you directly. And you've responded to a lot of people. How much time do you spend a day on Twitter? And I have to commend you. I think you, and whatever you think of Dane Cook, I think he's the other one that really uses Twitter to communicate with his fans better than most.
Well, Twitter's amazing. I think Twitter's ended up being a pretty informative tool. So if you just have a simple comic idea, you can put it out there. But I have a chunk on fortune cookies that was totally started by a tweet that I came up with, which was the fortune in every fortune cookie should be you are about to eat a stale cookie. And so, we came up with that tweet, and then, my wife and we ended up writing a whole kind of couple minutes on fortune cookies. And so Twitter it's a great tool. It's kind of like a little notepad of comic ideas. And like I said, that's where a lot of the ideas for the book, Dad is Fat, it's just these observations of being with your kids. I think I did a couple of days ago this tweet about I just took my 5 kids out to lunch in a restaurant for the last time.
Yes.
It's just these moments hit you, and Twitter's this great tool that you can just put it out there.
How much? Jim Gaffigan is our guest. He's in town tonight, downtown, and I'll post that information as soon as we get information on the Bayou and where you can buy tickets. And I think there are 2 shows tonight, so go down. Funniest Man in America. How much does it bother your wife? I mean, obviously she's in this with you. Y'all are raising the kids together. She's traveling with you. And she tweets, but do you ever cross the line when you say something about her and she says, whoa, that you shouldn't have revealed that?
Yeah, well, there's definitely, we're a writing team too, so there's nothing that I would come up with. I mean, there's definitely, we debate kind of, should we put a photo of our kids on the internet, stuff like that, but, we write everything together, so usually there's, and we have a very similar sensibility, so there's nothing that I would cross the line. And I think that we both agree that it's a positive representation of our marriage. I mean, I am a happily married guy, so my material is not about, this guy being married to, a difficult person, So.
And I think that's part of the fun of what you do, is that you don't need to cuss. You don't run down your wife. You're proud of your family, and you do it in an interesting way. And I think at the end of the day, you may glamorize laziness and make us feel better about ourselves, but it's nice to see that. It's nice to see somebody that's positive. If you hadn't been a comedian, what would you have done?
Gosh, I don't know. Maybe there's something about, I've talked to chefs, and there's something about the prep and the being able to create, maybe a chef or a cook, or I don't know, maybe just living in a mobile home. I don't know.
All right, Jim Gaffigan, last question. I know you need to go. He's going to be downtown tonight. I'll post on the blog, michaelberry.iheart.com, on the Facebook page, and on Twitter, where you can go to get tickets. There's still some available. I'm going to force you to answer this question with one answer. Your favorite comedian, living or dead?
I would say Jonathan Winters.
Wow. You went old school.
Yeah.
Well, put a press release out, Kenny. That could make national news. Very nice.
Jonathan Winters, he's amazing.
Jim, can I be a total D-bag and ask you one favor?
Sure.
Can you say, if you're listening to the Michael Berry Show and we love Hot Pockets?
You got it.
Go ahead.
You're listening to the Michael Berry Show, and we love Hot Pockets. I mean, he does. I don't. But.
I love that bit. Still my all-time favorite. See you tonight, sir. Looking forward to it.
See you tonight.
All right, thank you. Jim Gaffigan called in. Thank you, Berry Brigade, for assaulting him with your tweets. And thank you to the mutual friend we have in common who put him up to call in today.